Hi guys, Samantha from Jessima Tutorials here, and today I'm going to teach you how to smooth out seams in your polymer clay. So you'll find that you have seams in many polymer clay techniques. So for instance, with this technique, which is the torn paper or watercolor technique, you can see they have many different pieces and it's very three-dimensional. You've got lots of different pieces. So let's say you want to flatten this out. And so I'll show you how to do that successfully so you can't see any more seams. First, what you want to do is you want to grab a roller, and I wouldn't advise using a pasta machine. I'd advise using a roller for these sorts of things. And just roll it as flat as you can without causing problems. Now if you run it through the pasta machine, a lot of times you stretch it, but you don't get rid of the seams as successfully as you could. It also helps to go around the edges with your fingers. Tap it down, just like that. Tuck it in. It also makes it neater because the edges tend to always be more tattered than the actual middle part. And then once you've done that, use a piece of plain printing paper or greaseproof paper. You might know it as wax paper. Just smooth it down onto your surface and then burnish. I'm not rolling, I am just grabbing the roller like this and moving it up and down. And this is great for burnishing out any lines. It doesn't stretch your pattern, but it does flatten it out. So it's much better than using your pasta machine if you have one. It's better to burnish out the lines, and then once you're happy that there are no more lines in it, if you want to lengthen the pattern or stretch it, then use your pasta machine. So I'm just going to smooth out final areas with my fingers because I can get into places with my fingers that I can't with my roller, especially around these edges, because you want to pay attention to those. And generally you'll be able to feel if there are any seams with your finger. Okay, and then lift that up. And I'm just going to give one last little roll because the greaseproof paper has a bit of a texture to it, so I want to remove that texture just by quickly giving it a roll, which will smooth it out. Okay, and now the edges are always going to be a little tattered, but that's fine, because generally you won't use the edges. Okay. Now, let's see. If you tilt it to the light, hopefully you can see that this is pretty smooth. I see that there are a few areas that still have some seams. So just grab your roller and just roll it out a little bit more. And remember to roll in both directions. And go all the way to the edge of your piece. Oops. There we go. Okay, and now I'm going to trim up these edges because we wouldn't be able to use them independent anyway, just because they're not nice and even. And I've got lots of videos on how to use leftovers, so there'll be a link to a playlist in the links below, so go and check that out if you're interested in finding out what you can do with your leftovers. Okay, and now this should be completely smooth. So if I twist it around, hopefully you can see that there aren't any seams. I'm trying to catch the light with that. There you go. So you can see there's no seams. There might be some very fine ones, but I can't see any. So this should give you, once you've cut it out and baked it, it should give you a really nice buff with no lines. So that's how you would smooth it out if you're busy doing a technique and you're not too worried about having lines that are getting stretched. Now I want to show you how to join two veneers together and smooth out the seam between the two lines successfully without distorting your sheets. Okay, and so here I have this lovely little mica shift that I want to join onto this sheet. So generally what I like to do is I like to actually cut down the length of my sheet. I don't like it to be, I don't like to start at the very edge over here of a sheet because it's not nice and straight, and generally I like to cut so that I can get the best part of my sheet, because the edge is generally not the very best part. So I like to start with a nice, clean, straight cut. And I'll generally do the same over here, because if you're cutting out your pendant, generally you'll just get this bit and you'll get the very edge bit on here. So I want to cut down the middle of this mica shift so I can get this nice swirly kind of flamey bit in the middle. And you'll grab those two and then just gently place them next to each other. Okay, and then just press along the edge just to get it to form together. Now if you run your finger along that, and hopefully you can pick that up on the camera, there's quite a bit of a seam line along here. So how do you get rid of that without distorting your pattern? You don't roll it through your pasta machine. You grab your piece of plain printing paper or greaseproof or wax paper, and you will press that down. Make sure that you don't have any air bubbles. Grab your roller and gently burnish. Don't roll. You don't want to ever roll when you're joining two sheets together, and you want to keep the line straight between them, because if you roll you'll be distorting that line. And then I like to take my finger and actually like to directly go down that line, and then I'll use my roller again. Okay. Now you should be able to run your finger along there. Close your eyes so that your eyes aren't actually getting in the way of what you're feeling. If you can actually feel the difference between the two sheets, there's still a line there. But if you can run your finger along here and you don't feel any disturbance, then you have gotten rid of your seam. Okay, and then I like to do just one quick light roll. I'm not trying to stretch or anything, I'm just trying to get back that nice shiny surface so that you can see how there's no seam line there. Okay, and I can run my hand along this and I won't be able to tell the difference between the two sheets if I have my eyes closed, which is what you want. And pick that up, and hopefully you can see how lovely and straight that line is as well. Now pick that up and I'll see if I can direct that for you so that the light picks up on it. And hopefully, like here, where there. Hopefully you can see there with the light that there's no line there. So you can just see the join between the two sheets, but if you were to buff this, it wouldn't highlight an ugly line or anything like that. So that is how you join two sheets together. Nice and neatly, you create a nice straight line. If you wanted a wiggly line, just cut the sheets like that, press them together, burnish just like I did, and that is how you join two sheets together to create a really nice clean join. And also that is how you flatten out a technique that starts out with a really bumpy effect and will turn into a nice smooth effect. So the last thing I want to do is I want to show you how to do that on round beads, how to smooth cane slices or something like that onto a round bead. Okay, and so here is just a black bead that I've quickly rolled out, and I've also taken some snowflake cane slices. Now, the first thing to do when you are smoothing cane slices onto a bead, you want to try and get them as thin as you possibly can. So you can see that one is thin. You want them to be less than 1 millimeter thick, ideally 0.5 millimeter or less. And that makes your smoothing process a lot easier. Something like this, which you can see is quite a bit thicker than some of the other ones, that's not going to work. You can't use that. It's going to make smoothing a lot harder. You could smooth it down, but it's not going to come across as being very neat, and also it's going to distort your cane slice quite a bit. So it's better to go with thin slices. Okay, now you have these canes, and now you don't know how to smooth those off nicely. all you do is you just roll it in your hands. Now ideally, if you don't want fingerprints, you will roll it with gloves. Gloves prevent fingerprints, but I'm not going to actually bake this, and I'll just re-roll it with my gloves later on. So you'll just roll it in your hands like this. And just continue rolling for about 30 seconds. And just roll vigorously. And this should smooth out your cane slices, as you can see. So I'm going to quickly roll it with some gloves so that it's going to get rid of any fingerprints so that you'll be able to see it accurately. Okay, now I've rolled it out with my gloves, and so you can see that we've flattened the cane slices quite nicely. So I've already done a project like this, and so here are the cane slices after baking, and I didn't have to sand these. I've just coated them with varathane, and you can see no fingerprints and no lines. So if you shine the bead around, you don't want to be able to see a seam line, and you can't see them on those beads. And that is how you smooth out cane slices on round beads. And so you can use that with flowers, leaves, all sorts of things. So that's how you smooth out cane slices on round beads. Now what do you do on a flat sheet? So I'm just going to grab a piece of black that I have here, and I'm going to again cut out nice thin slices of cane. The thinner the better. But you do want them to be whole slices. Okay. Then grab those, pop them down onto your sheet, and just check it. And also, just a quick tip, make sure that your blade is nice and sharp, because if it isn't, your cane slices can get smeared. So I advise using a nice sharp blade. Okay, so we've got enough cane slices there. Again, you'll bring over a piece of plain paper and a roller and gently burnish this time around. You want to start slowly. You don't want to be going really hard like you would have before. Start slowly, flatten them out a little bit, and you'll see with the greaseproof paper, you can see it's starting to flat out. And then once you've got it flattened to the point where they're embedded, but you can still see the seam lines, then you want to be going quite hard with your roller. The reason you don't want to be going really hard in the beginning is because you can squish your canes and it will distort them a lot. And that's another reason why you don't want to be putting it through your pasta machine. So start slowly and gently, and then after they're embedded well and there's just a little seam line between around the cane and the piece of clay that you have them on, then you can go nice and hard with your roller and smooth them out. Okay, so let me just pick this up. Now I'm going to twist this around and let me just smooth it. I'll use my glove to just smooth it out so that it gets rid of that kind of rough texture that the greaseproof paper gives. There. Now hopefully the camera's picking up on the fact that there's no seam lines there. It's not smooth. I would like to go over with a roller or something like that again to smooth it out, but hopefully you can see that there are no join lines. So once you smooth this out and made it nice and shiny and smooth and baked it, when you sand it you won't be able to see any seam lines around those canes. So that's basically everything I have for smoothing seams. I hope I did cover everything. That's everything. That generally is all the problems I encounter when it comes to smoothing out pieces of clay into other pieces of clay. So hopefully I covered everything for you. If I didn't, let me know in the comments and I'll try to include it in a future tutorial. But for now, I hope that that was helpful to you. If it was, please do let me know in the links below, and please do subscribe to this channel if you like the videos that I post. I post at least once a week. Sometimes I post more than once a week, so you will want to keep up to date with those videos. And please do give this video a thumbs up if you did like it. That is also very helpful to me. And I will see you in the next tutorial. Bye for now.